Readers. I'm here today to share a book with you called The Yellow Suitcase by Meera Sriram and pictures by Meera Sethi. This book was donated to us by Hugo Malero's family, so thank you to them for donating this book. And before we read this book, I wanted to give you a little bit of background. This is kind of a sad story. This is about a little girl who loses her grandmother and has to travel to India to go to her funeral. And she brings with her this yellow suitcase that's filled with all of these things in it. Before we read this book, I want to talk about how sometimes books can be mirrors and sometimes they can be windows. So when a book is a mirror, that means that that book reflects something in your own life. When a book is a window, that means it gives you an idea into somebody else's life, and you don't really have that much of a connection with it, but you get to learn about somebody else's life and what others might be going through. So in this story, she travels to India, and we have a lot of students in our class who are from India, or their families are from India, and they travel there often. So this book might be a mirror for you because you can relate to the culture that is in this book. If you've ever lost somebody important in your life, if they've ever passed away, then this also might be a mirror for you. But if you are somebody who has never lost anybody around you, and you're lucky enough to not have to experience that yet, or you've never traveled anywhere else, then this might just be a window, and you might just get to learn about a different culture and a different experience that you haven't gotten to experience yet. So while we're reading, I want you to think, is this book a mirror or a window for me? Okay. All right, The Yellow Suitcase. Asha rested her head on the taxi window. People, houses, cows, markets, and vehicles passed by. The city streets always bustled in India. When the taxi pulled over, Asha looked past the palms and marigolds, but Grandma wasn't waiting on the front porch. The afternoon air was hot and still under a cloudless sky. Asha followed her parents into her grandmother's house, the luggage tag swinging back and forth as she wheeled her tiny yellow suitcase along. Inside, unfamiliar faces greeted Asha. Familiar relatives talked about Grandma. The scent of jasmine flowers and incense smoke stung Asha's nose as she walked closer to Grandma's picture on a wall shelf. "Where's Grandma?" Asha asked, even though she knew. "She's not here. She's not anywhere." Dad wrapped his arms around Asha. "We talked about it." Asha gripped the handle of her suitcase a bit tighter. Every summer she carried presents for Grandma in her bright yellow suitcase, and later packed it with gifts Grandma gave her to take back to California. Wooden toys, comics, handmade dolls, spinning tops, coins, dresses, and sweets. Grandmas always seem good about giving their grandchildren gifts. I know mine is. "Will I ever see her again?" Asha asked. Dad sank into a chair, saying nothing, and Asha saw him cry for the first time. For the next several days, Mom and Dad mourned Grandma's passing with prayers and offerings. The relatives joined them. But Asha kept to herself in the backyard. She sat on her suitcase, putting stickers on it and making cards. She watched sparrows and squirrels build homes and collect food. Sometimes she read under the coconut tree. Are you okay, Asha? Mom asked one afternoon. Asha unzipped the suitcase and shook it. Little gift boxes, envelopes, and greeting cards scattered onto the floor. No, I am not okay. She stomped into the bedroom with the empty suitcase and kicked it under the bed. Mom followed quietly. Why did we bring this suitcase? Asha yelled, crawling into bed. I'm wondering why she's so upset. She missed the aroma of cardamom spiced chai and of sweet ghee that filled the house when Grandma was around, and she missed the touch of the soft cotton saris Grandma wore. Maybe those things in the suitcase were reminding her of her grandma, making her miss her. Maybe we should have been here earlier to save Grandma, Asha said. But that wouldn't have changed anything, dear, Mom said, stroking Asha's hair. Grandma was very sick. Asha pulled the blanket over her face. At the end of 2 weeks, Dad packed their bags. He pulled out the yellow suitcase from under the bed. Aren't you going to take your suitcase with you, Asha? It's empty, Dad. Asha tossed the suitcase aside, but the yellow suitcase popped open, revealing a colorful quilt. Asha recognized the patches, rectangles of red paisleys and green leaves and squares of blue flowers and maroon swirls, bits of Grandma's saris stitched together. She gathered the sari quilt in her arms. She could smell Grandma's talcum powder. She ran her fingertips over the threads that spelled her name. Dad sat beside her. Grandma was working on it until she left for the hospital. Tears dripped down Asha's face and onto the yellow suitcase like fat raindrops falling on a sunflower. I miss her too, Dad said and patted Asha's back. The cab driver honked louder and Dad walked out with his bags. Asha held onto her suitcase. She tucked Grandma's picture between the folds of the sari quilt. She made a label and taped it close to the luggage tag. Hurry up, dear, Mom called. Hugging her suitcase close, Asha glanced out the taxi window and smiled. Grandma's marigolds swayed in the evening breeze as the taxi jostled its way to the airport on a narrow dirt road. I'm going to read you guys the author's note. The Yellow Suitcase was inspired by my own family's experience when my children lost their first grandparent in India in the spring of 2010. The 32-hour journey from California to India, burdened with mixed emotions, was harrowing. Growing up in the U.S., my children were not exposed to funeral customs in India. They were uncomfortable and scared, while still going through all the stages of grief, denial, anger, guilt, sadness, and acceptance to cope with the loss, just like we did. And these are pictures of your author. So I want to look back at that last page. I'm going to read it again. Hugging her suitcase close, Asha glanced out the taxi window and she smiled. Grandma's marigolds swayed in the evening breeze as the taxi jostled its way to the airport on a narrow dirt road. I'm thinking about why Asha smiled here. Seems like that she's gotten past that point when you lose somebody that you love, that you're now happy to be thinking about them again. It doesn't make you so sad that they're gone anymore. It makes you happy to remember them. Seems that she's moved into a place where she can finally remember her grandma and not be so sad anymore. If you've ever lost anybody that's close to you and this book is more of a mirror for you, then you'll understand that feeling and getting there. And if you're not there yet, you will. You just have to remember the things you love about them and keep those things close. I hope that you guys enjoyed this book. I want you to go ahead and share with me whether this is a mirror or a window for you guys. And if you're comfortable, then you can tell me why it's a mirror or a window for you. Okay? I'll be back tomorrow with another read aloud. If you're in my class, I loved seeing you guys today. Please let me know if you need anything. I'm here for you guys and I love you.